Yo.
Oh, well, third time's a charm, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, I think my computer might be heating up slightly. Okay. Am I breaking up at all?
A little bit, but it's not really mattering right now.
Okay. I just unplugged it so it can cool down. Oh,
Okay.
God, I just saw one of the suggested creepypastas being called Satan 2.0.
What, is that like Robo-Satan or something?
Well, no. You see, Satan 2.0 is specifically Lucifer from the show Lucifer.
Oh, okay.
See, you have your generic bargain bin Satan, and then you have Lucy. Lucy.
You see, I kind of like the way The Devil is a Part-Timer did it. It's like the main character's name is Satan, but he's not Satan because that's just a popular
not that
name.
Satan. It's just a popular name. And
yeah, that was a cool one.
Okay, funny thing. There is actually like a backstory to how he rose up through the ranks in like I think the light novel. I don't think it got to that part in the manga, but in the light novel, I think it did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was described that like at one point when he was near death as a little underling, he got saved by an angel.
Huh.
And I think, if memory serves, that angel is like the swordman, like the Holy Knight was the Holy Knight's mom.
Huh. Okay.
Because the whole thing of like, if memory serves, it was like she was the child of a human and an angel.
Yeah, that was one of the whole things.
It was this whole thing of, well.
Yeah, that's just interesting. Fates intertwined and all that.
But I mean, I'm just gonna say it. I think my favorite interpretation of the guy downstairs is the Lucifer Netflix series one. Now Netflix series. I've yet to read the comics, and that one he is just straight up David Bowie, which might be better. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really do much better than David Bowie.
Yeah,
we're talking about a person who had a gun, like at one point when he was in Texas, like just going around in a dress, and like this dude pointed a gun in his face, like, "Why are you wearing that dress?" And he's just, "Oh, I think I look good in it."
Yeah,
like you can't get much cooler than that.
Yeah, just
anyway, we're gonna be reading one of those OC creepypastas.
So, Llytic, have you read this one before?
I have not. I think I might have listened to Mr. Creepypasta read it.
Okay.
And I don't remember jack shit.
Okay, so it might be good, it might not be good. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, we're reading Jason the Toymaker. And if you've ever seen a picture of this guy, my immediate thought is the one line from SpongeBob where Squidward is like
handsome Squidward.
Not handsome Squidward. Dealing with Squilliam.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, he's hot. We'll put a link to this one in the description. If you do find the author, don't send him hate. Don't. Stupid. Don't do that.
Yeah, when we criticize things that we read here, we're not criticizing the author themselves, just some of their writing stuff.
Yeah. And only the stuff about, and when it is the author, it's only the stuff about them that seems to reflect them themselves. Like the weird, basically like the sexual and racial politics of Stephanie Meyer's writing.
And even then, it's more just like saying, "Hey, this is a little strange," but we're not really taking a stance on it. Or at least
this might be racist.
Everyone's.
You weren't there for the session where it mentioned the name of the guy who attempted to like assault Bella. The guy's first and middle names were Spanish.
Oh,
and it
lovely.
was stated that he was like his last name was like I can't remember what exactly it was, but it wasn't a Spanish last name, but the first and middle name were. And it was stated that he was from somewhere in Texas. I was like, wait a minute. Was this guy supposed to be Hispanic? Because I don't think you mentioned his race appearance-wise in the story. Oh. Anyway, start us off with this thing. I don't have many memories left from my past. The faces of my real parents were like faded masks in my mind. I only had some remains of my childhood in a cardboard box buried under the old tree out back. Wait. Faceless names and total darkness. At the age of 9, something happened to my family. The trauma was so deep that it made me forget most of my life. I only had a shred of a memory related to my best friend. He was the only one that was who was there for me my whole life. It was like an image stuck in my mind along with the melody of from a music box. Along with the black holes of my amnesia, I caught a glimpse of his honey-colored eyes and his dark mahogany hair.
Mahogany.
I mean, oh god.
Sorry.
I know where I know who this childhood friend is now. God damn it. I mean, granted, we already have inhuman eye color. I mean, mahogany hair can actually I've had that happen back whenever I had my hair bleached and then dyed it black.
Mm-hmm.
Because the area that, basically I dyed my bangs blue and then that started fading. So dyed that black.
Mm-hmm.
And I dyed it all black. And as that started fading, it would be like this weird reddish, dark reddish brown. It was like, okay, so I just have this whole mahogany color to my bangs.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Or was that more? No, that wasn't quite magenta. Might have been. No, not magenta. Like that whole mahogany maroon area.
I think I know what you're. It's called. Crap. What's it called? It's a color that I've used before. It's burgundy.
Burgundy. That's the holy shit. Okay, so that wasn't the right color I was thinking of. But yeah, mahogany hair. That's not an inhuman color, but honey-colored eyes. That, god damn it.
Wait.
I remembered his friendly smile. Nothing else. All the rest disappeared in the dark. So did he.
Wait, was that a reference to Jack the Killer?
Jeff the Killer?
I don't know.
Smile?
Yeah, like the smile. Like what you're saying, he sounds familiar. I am very unfamiliar with this stuff. I'm just trying
okay. The fact that it was immediately mentioned that the childhood friend is someone with honey-colored eyes. It's not a natural eye color among humans.
Okay, yeah.
It's this trope.
Okay. Sorry, I'm tired.
This trope.
At least they're not hyper realistic.
Well, no, it's not supposed to be a media thing.
The memories went back to the orphanage where I was born. Some awesome parents.
Wait, what?
We're gonna. I mean, if we're talking metaphorically born, maybe I don't know.
That one, Dr. Doofenshmirtz line. It all started with my birth. Not that. God, that's not the voice.
It all started with my birth.
Neither of my parents showed up. It's just a very confused a very confused nurse next to a hospital bed holding a baby.
Phineas and Ferb was so good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's probably a good thing that it ended when it did, but
yes, I think not. I don't know if it ended at 104 episodes, but I hope it does.
No, it went over 104.
Well, I mean, yeah, but there were some 2-part and 3-part episodes, so you know what? Never mind.
The platypus. You're trapped by social convention.
I think it's funny how when we first in season 1, it's Perry kicks down the door, but by the time the last season rolls around, he just politely knocks on the door and Dr. Doofenshmirtz lets him in. It's like a formality at this point in time, and then he traps him.
A plumber? A platypus plumber? Perry the platypus?
Oh man, I love that show so much.
Anyway.
Some awesome parents, Madalena and Stephen, who adopted me and gave me a feeling which I had forgotten, the warm feeling of having a family. They raised me in their house until I turned 15. My amnesia led me to examinations and psychological checkups, which year after year were slowly starting to fail. It looked like I wouldn't ever get my memory back. This fact left me distraught. On one hand, I wanted to know what happened, but on the other, an odd feeling of anxiety suggested I shouldn't wish for it. Obviously, there was some unpleasant consequence to my trauma. It was some sort of paranoia, as if I was being persecuted by something. The specialists told my parents it must have been linked to a particular memory, which was continuously blocked from my mind. Neither the cause nor what happened was exactly clear, but despite my efforts, I couldn't focus on it.
I felt like I was being observed, not by people, but by the stuffed toys in my room. You might want to remove them from your room. It was stupid, I know. At the beginning, they were simply toys, but time and time again, their big round eyes seemed to stare at me. Since I was little, I thought the stuffed toys in my room were alive, and sometimes I tried to prove it. Is this the thing humans do often?
Some of them do. I never did. I just pretended that my toys would come to life, like when I wasn't around, and make up stories of what they would do. But then again, I'm not normal, so I can't really tell you.
I spied on my room from the hall with the door ajar. Then I turned away and suddenly turned back and never took my eyes off them. Not until I felt a burning sensation from not blinking my eyes.
Okay, that I'm familiar with because I would always get into staring contests with my cousins. I would usually win.
I thought you were going to say your toys.
No, not my toys. My toys.
I've never lost. Okay, that's more concerning. They always blink first.
They always blink first. Or it might be me just thinking they blink, but I'm actually blinking. I don't know. It's
Thomas, that's a stuffed bear. They always...
They always blink first.
Just a little child. They always blink fast.
Just, yes, I need a psychiatrist. I think my child's insane.
Oh God, you want to have Jonathan go off the deep end?
That could be a fun subplot, but I haven't planned on it, honestly. Time after time, the stuffed toys were the ones staring at me. It almost looked like they wanted to test me, and I couldn't bear it anymore. I kind of wish that was a pun there, but whatever.
Got this question wrong. Retake it.
The thought struck in my mind at times. It seemed to me that they moved their heads, turning their little faces towards me. At other times, they made noises in my room. This couldn't be true, obviously. Why did this thought persecute me? You're using persecute too much. Why did I hate those stuffed toys? In spite of everything...
Did they use persecute several times already?
They've used it... I think that's either the second or third time they've used it in the past couple of paragraphs. And I
think if it's the second time, it's not too many times. But I swear it wasn't used earlier.
Hold
There's one in your previous paragraph that I found.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's all. That's only 2 times so far. It's just weird that you've read both of them.
Yeah. Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking. It still feels a little repetitive, but yeah, whatever. Why did I hate those stuffed toys? In spite of everything, why didn't I get rid of them? Llytic.
What?
Llytic was asking that earlier. Why didn't you just get rid of them?
I was going to say, like, if the toys make you uncomfortable, it'd be like a whole thing of like telling your foster parents, "Hey, I'm not a big fan of stuffed toys."
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Dad.
Wait, we didn't get you stuffed toys.
Now you see, that would be a concern.
In spite of everything, why didn't I get rid of them? I could have presented them to other children or thrown them in the rubbish. One day I tried, really, I did, but when I took one of them in my arms, a strong sense of anxiety and terror stopped me. I always ended up putting them back in their places, on the furniture, my bed, and the shelves. This caused me to have to take tranquilizers.
Yeah, I take ketamine too.
I don't. I can't relate.
It's okay. Ketamine is horse tranquilizer?
Okay, that makes more sense. I knew that. I fucking knew that. Damn it.
I was making a joke about this child doing hard drugs. and me doing hard drugs.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't do hard drugs?
I mean, I basically take acid on a daily basis. It's the only way that everything makes sense.
Okay.
Otherwise, I start seeing some weird shit.
Is it Earth affecting you this way, or is it like just
I
something
think it
else?
might just be the PTSD.
Ah, okay. uh,
I've died more times than I can count, man.
that doesn't sound fun.
No. There was only one toy I took with me at night, despite my age. I couldn't separate myself from him and felt a familiar affection with him that started long before my amnesia. I found him in my wardrobe at the orphanage, and from there on out, we became inseparable. It was a sweet bunny with ears as long as him. On one side, it was red, and on the other side, it was a caramel color. It wore a black waistcoat with two sleeves that draped down to the point of his feet. Wait, did I read that? Yeah, draped down to two long sleeves that draped down to the point of his feet, and dashed an elegant collar that donned pointed tips at every edge of the fabric. A black button donned the center, and wore a stylish frilly eye patch over his little left beaded eye. It was funny, but he looked like the only stuffed toy that was harmless. Well, actually, no. If he looks like a Johnny Depp character in a Tim Burton movie, he doesn't look harmless. There's a reason people didn't want Johnny Depp to play Grindelwald. It's not because of the fact that his acting has gone down the drain in recent years. Jokes about allegations against actors. I don't remember whether or not that has been confirmed yet. But either way, it's the whole thing of, hey, if you've got that controversy going around an actor, maybe don't put them in your movie right now.
Yeah, might be a smart decision.
I mean, it didn't help that Crimes of Grindelwald wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm. Still haven't seen that one. Not going to, probably.
I mean, the first Fantastic Beast wasn't very good either.
It wasn't terrible, though. It was decent.
Ever since I was little, when I would slip under the sheets... Holy shit, why did I read that as heels? Oh my god.
Where is your mind right now?
I think the acid might be wearing off.
Ah, okay.
Starting to see my ex in the corner. And fall asleep almost instantly among the creaking old walls he'd slept by my side just like that night.
I was standing still in the darkness, unable to move and couldn't understand how I ended up there. Surrounded...
night terrors, I've been there.
Oh, me too. Surrounded only by the distilled silence.
I usually see my ex in the corner too at those times.
Something slimy grabbed my wrist and held me so tightly that instant pain shot right through me. A set of white nails slowly penetrated my flesh. I watched them cutting through my skin, making me bleed. I screamed and cried, but a laugh bellowed out, covering my desperate pleas. She belongs to me, a voice whispered to me. Within that dark abyss, two green sparkling eyes appeared before me. They were a few inches away from my face. You are only a hindrance to me. He laughed, amused by my pain, while he pierced the flesh under my nails with needles. He ruined my body with rusty tools. On the contrary, he said he was going to fix me all up.
Okay, the specific line, he ruined my body. Just gonna say that right now, that tends to have a...
Yeah, just...
sexual connotation?
Yeah, no, I was
not
feeling
the
that.
Fun kind.
Yeah, I was feeling that too.
Combined with the guy's portrayal, appearance-wise, I think this might be going in a certain direction.
Tom is slightly uncomfortable.
Llytic kind of annoyed at this being rather exploitative because I doubt that this is going to be handled well at all. Before anyone says anything, you can handle those sorts of things in a story if you know what the fuck you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Person who wrote the lady who did the who's doing the webcomic Lore Olympus. She knew how to fucking handle that fucking topic. fucking shit was traumatizing, but it serviced the story, and really the way it was going, it couldn't be replaced with anything else. Because that's the whole thing. If in regards to that subject, you always have to ask, the question that you should always ask is, does this service the story, and can it be replaced with something else?
Mm-hmm.
And if it can't, you better hope to the fucking gods that you're any good at writing stories, because otherwise, you've basically just done like some fucking just trauma fetishization, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is that whole thing like the whole thing of like I spit on your grave? That was one loosely based on an actual situation, like an actual thing that happened. Like the director like came across this lady, helped her out, took her to the police, and the police completely fucked that situation up because that woman had a broken jaw.
Mm-hmm.
And the police were telling her, clearly state your name over and over, not letting her like continue with the case from that point.
Yeah.
And like that movie is meant to be just horrifically traumatizing. Like the fact that there's no actual like music for most of it kind of just grounds you in the scene. Like, that is a movie that handles the subject matter rather well by just being absolutely unflinchingly raw, like, and making you just face this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the whole thing. If you don't have the talent to be able to do that, don't.
Fortunately, some people might think they do, but are not able to handle it.
I noticed an open door. The only thing I could distinguish from the darkness, my eyes blurred by the pain. That didn't need to be a separate sentence. It makes no sense as one. I saw a glimpse of people standing still, gazing down at me. The image of that door got closer in order to show me their vacant expression, despite the grimaces plastered on their face. I saw that they were not real people. They were dolls, and in some way, I felt a strong sense of nausea overcome me just by staring at them. There was something about them that made my... Wait, there was something about them that made my stomach...
Mm-hmm. That's how it goes.
God damn it. Maybe it was their extraordinary and macabre resemblance to real people. She belongs to me.
With that, I woke up, my eyes wide open, my heart beating so hard I could feel it pounding in my head. I stood up, then sat back down when I couldn't breathe. I rubbed my eyes and realized that I was sweating. The bunny fell, landing upside down. I leaned down for him and put him back on the bed. My breathing returned to normal, but the image of those needles, dirty with blood, and those terrifying dolls remained embedded in my mind. I never had such a nightmare like that before. The feelings were so terribly real. I still felt those claws making a hole in my flesh, but I was relieved that I woke up. The door squeaked. It was my mother coming in the room. As soon as she saw my exhausted face, the smile on her face faded away. "Honey, are you okay?" "Yes, I only had a nightmare. Now everything is all right." "Well, okay. Daisy came to visit you. I told her to wait for you in the living room."
I only had a nightmare. Much like the dog that was in my room last night.
He had a
I don't
nightmare?
know, because... okay, because the whole thing is like he was on a pillow that was next to my bed.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the times, because I'm pretty sure that this probably picked up on the mic, that like I was just like talking to him.
Yeah, I heard you a couple times.
Which I'm sorry if that was...
No, it was fine. You were talking to a pet. That's not, it's not anything
like,
bad.
Just because he's done it a few times where he suddenly like he was sleeping and then he just suddenly like bolts upright and like looks around like panicking.
Mm-hmm.
But which again, pit bull.
Yeah.
So the idea of him being scared is both kind of like, what the hell are we dreaming about? But like literally, so I just hear him because like my room's light was off.
Mm-hmm.
I hear him just like suddenly like get up, like look around and then barge into the closet.
Oh, poor thing.
Like, because like it was like from the sound of like his collar and stuff, like it sounded like he was panicking, like he was just like, what the hell? Just barges in here. It's like, what is it? Everything's all right. Everything's okay. There's nothing to worry about.
Oh, poor thing. Did he calm down?
Yeah, he calmed down. It was just the whole thing. Like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
No, he's a sweet boy.
When pit bulls dream, do they dream of pit bull sheep?
They dream of bodybuilder sheep. Whole bunch of buff sheep.
I just thought of like walking into a gym and seeing all these sheep just staring. One's just like doing bicep curls and like just glaring at you. Just like,
oh god, if I search buff sheep, what am I gonna get?
Be careful. Don't search.
It auto-completed. It auto-completed. Okay, I did find... I found some furry stuff, but I've also found some actual sheep. I'm mostly finding just, like, very fluffy sheep. Oh, okay, because of the... like, the coat being called a buff, apparently? I guess. Because one of the things I saw was wool neck buff. Or maybe it's a type of sheep. I don't know.
Maybe. Either way.
Oh god, that is... Nope. Didn't need to see that.
You're not on Bing, are you?
No.
Okay,
I was on Google, but first picture had outline. It was thigh size. Anyway. With that, I got out of bed. Out from bed. I was dressed poor. You just woke up. I don't think anyone sleeps well dressed.
I mean, I've passed out well dressed before, but that's something different.
And okay. Okay. No, I'll bring it up after. And I didn't want my best friend to see me that way. Fuck it. Go downstairs in your pajamas. Flex on him. Yeah, I fucking woke up this way.
I woke up looking this good.
Granted, apparently, according to friends, I am one of the few people who can wake up with my hair a mess, and it still apparently looks good. So...
Well, good for you.
I mean, granted, whenever I was at your place, I didn't fall asleep. I just played Monster Hunter World all night.
You played Monster Hunter World all night. It was... It was funny because my roommate was like, he's like, yeah, I went to bed and I woke up. Is he still playing Monster Hunter?
I'm sorry if that disturbed any of your roommates. I turned the volume down a bit and made sure not to say too much. And most of it was under my breath. So.
Oh, you didn't disturb anyone. Okay. We're all heavy sleepers, okay. And
I remember Kyle got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, and it was my other roommate, Andrew, who always gets up at 6 a.m. He woke up and saw you, and he was like, "Yeah, I woke up and saw him." I was like, and thought to myself, "Did he stay up all night playing Monster Hunter?"
It's a very engrossing game.
It is a very engrossing game, and you don't know how much time goes by.
I mean, granted, I would also like to play Dark Souls at some point, but
yeah,
I should probably focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah, probably one thing at a time, because that's one of the things. My roommate Andrew just finished playing God of War, and now he's working on Dark Souls.
The latest one?
Yeah, the latest one. He finished.
Dad of boy.
Yeah, it was. That game is gorgeous, and I want to get a PS4 and buy a copy of that game just because.
Well, PS4 is also the only thing that has Bloodborne.
Yes, and that's another reason. And I wish it came to Xbox, but oh well.
Oh yeah, I just remembered Hidetaka Miyazaki said that he basically has like almost nothing to do with Bloodborne 2. Which really kind of upsets me because yeah.
that can either mean we will never get a Bloodborne 2,
Well,
or
no,
that could.
apparently there is a Bloodborne 2 that's in the works. Like, it's like
Okay.
in development hell. But
Mm.
Hidetaka Miyazaki is not involved in it.
How involved was he in the first one?
It was his game. He said it was his favorite one that he made.
Okay. He's probably busy. He's probably busy working on Elden Ring, honestly, because that's the next big thing that's happening now.
It was kind of thing. I think Zero Punctuation kind of put it best. Of like, if you're going to make fantasy games, you start out with dragons. Then once you got everyone hooked in, you can make whatever weird shit you want. So Dark Souls was the thing to get like people interested in his work, and then he made Bloodborne once he had an audience. It's like, all right, I've got your attention. Now here's my magnum opus.
Bloodborne is a magnificent game. It really is.
Well, it's also the whole thing of eldritch horror done in a way that's not pretentious and up its own ass. Partly because of the fact that it doesn't have that like 1930s narcissism. Anyway, what else do you call like the concept of you suddenly realizing how insignificant you are causes you to become insane?
I mean,
you have to have had a pretty big head to think that you were that important in the cosmic scheme.
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing. It's like, okay, you're insignificant. Yeah, everyone's insignificant in comparison to the universe, you know? Like,
I mean, granted, back then, like, Christianity was a lot, like, faith, like, trust in religion and stuff like that was a lot bigger, and one of the whole things of Christianity is a lot the whole...
that's one of the key points of Christianity is like, okay, no, it's like...
Well, yeah, but with, like, a lot of Christians, it's the whole thing of, I am important to God. Like, that like, that whole thing. And so the idea of, no, the gods don't give two shits about you. Because, like, the whole thing of, like, even the philosophy of God being evil was not new. But the idea of God doesn't care was. And that's kind of like the darker mentality, like the more existentially terrifying mentality, I guess, if that sort of idea scares you.
It kind of reminds me of something my dad told me about something his college buddy came up with. He said, there is no God, there is only Fred. You don't die, Fred just forgets about you.
But yeah, it's the whole thing of like back then there was more faith in the church, and so you had a lot more people being like, I matter in someone's eyes. Whereas nowadays it's like, we don't matter, we're all gonna die, who cares, let's party. So the idea of some cosmic entity that's basically a god that just doesn't give two shits about you and is going to wipe you off the face of the earth at some point, it's like, sounds about right. Anyway, while my mother closed the door, I ran over to my wardrobe and got an ordinary dress. In the space of a few minutes, I came out of my room, neat and ready. In my haste... Oh shit, that spell was cast on her? Nice. I was out of breath. Finally! Exclaimed Daisy. Took you fucking long enough! I met Daisy at middle school, and we since then were inseparable. And ever since then, we were inseparable. She was a kind and generous person. She was always welcome in our family. Why was there a semicolon there? Hell, in basic, like, writing, the only reason you ever use a semicolon is to show that you know how to use a semicolon. It doesn't help with the flow of writing. Tom?
Huh? Yeah, no, I'm here. Sorry, I thought you were gonna go on a tangent.
No, that was the main thing. I was just like, the only reason you ever use a semicolon in writing is to show that you know how to use a semicolon. It's not something that is functionally important in writing.
It's not functionally important, but it can be used in a flavor sense that can kind of make it seem like the person is pausing and more thoughtful, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's not really necessary here. A comma would do the same. And honestly, if you give that pause, it just gets more awkward. Kind of generous person. She's always welcome in our family.
Honestly, I think the semicolons works there. Like, I mean, a comma could work too, but like
it seems unnecessary.
Hmm.
Like professional writing, you typically, I know this isn't professional, like whatever, but if you are like actually like doing professional writing, you almost never use a semicolon because it's the whole thing of like you don't need to use a semicolon. Just use what you need. My parents appreciated her good manners, but what I loved about her, especially, was that
okay, that one was unnecessary.
she never asked anything about my past. Again, if you wanted to put the semicolon there, you could say, but one thing I especially loved, but there was one thing I especially loved about her. She never asked me anything about my past.
That would have worked better, yes.
Is it necessary? No. Would it work? Yes.
This is just awkward and clunky.
Oh, God. I was able to tell her about my amnesia in complete confidence. The day was nice and sunny, so we laid down in the garden under an old tupelo tree. Okay.
I'm going to look that up because I don't know what a tupelo is.
I guess, yeah, do that. Look up a tupelo.
Well, there's a Tupelo, Mississippi, apparently.
But I'm not entirely sure that that's the same thing.
No. Okay.
Tupelo tree. The entire town of Tupelo in Tupelo, Mississippi was above us. We were using it for shade. This story got interesting.
Apparently, it's a tree that looks really pretty, like in the fall and stuff like that. Oh, it's actually really gorgeous. Not gonna lie.
Okay. We talked while sheltering from the sun in the shade of the tree. If you're saying that you're under a tree, you don't need to specify that you were in the shade of the tree.
Unnecessary sentence. Yes.
Yeah, it's not something that adds flavor either.
No.
It's kind of the whole thing, like the issue with Stephanie Meyer is the fact that she has a pacing problem. She never actually gets to the point. It's just constantly talking and talking and talking about things that don't actually add anything to the scene. Daisy felt wait, no. I brought some colored pencils and a sheet of paper while we both started drawing. Daisy felt tired immediately. I can tell you right now that we do not live in an area where it's a good idea to try and draw outside.
No, way too windy.
Always windy.
Always windy all the time, and there are no trees. I mean, there are a few trees, but they're scrubby and small.
You put it on a clipboard, and all of a sudden the thing's flipped over. It's still attached. You haven't lost it, but you can't write, but you can't draw.
Yeah. Or write, for that matter. Heck, even using a spiral, you gotta like put like a paper clip on there so the page doesn't just blow away.
It's one of the things about this area that always makes me laugh. Like, I can't relate to the idea of reading outside because I would never be able to keep my place in a book.
The place I grew up, I could actually read outside pretty easily because it was not always windy there.
And then you came here.
Well, I mean, I have read out here outside here before, and it's like I can usually keep the pages from turning, but then again, I tend to grip the book pretty hard when I'm reading it. So like,
I can't do that because if like my palms will get sweaty, and so it's like, oh fuck, I'll cause water damage to the pages.
Well, I guess firmly would be a better thing, but it's usually a very gripping book when I'm reading it. So appropriate.
Fucking pun.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, let's see. She started picking daisies, putting them in her blonde hair while she gossiped about Louisa, a girl who lived for being the center of people's attention.
I know people like that.
Typically, the kind of people that people assume are like that aren't usually like that, though. I'm going to save that under things that might reflect on the author's worldview. While my friend was talking, I listened to her and kept on drawing without taking my eyes off the sheet of paper. "Who's that?" she asked me suddenly, noticing the drawing. It was as if I fell asleep in that exact moment.
Ah, narcolepsy.
Just fell over forward.
Just and then wakes up.
Face first into the thing that you're using as a backing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's no way you just took the piece of paper out there. It says that you took the colored pencils, but what did you... blank sheets. It just says colored pencils and blank sheets of paper. What are you using as a backing, child?
Maybe she has like the paper like stacked in like one of those thicker stacks and is like drawing on the paper on top of other paper.
Even then, though, like, you need to have it to where that's propped up against something. If you just have that on the ground, you're still going to pick up the texture from the grass, like from the dirt under the grass.
Well, I mean, if you have like a really thick portion of it, like twice the size of whatever you'd load into your printer.
I brought 100 pages out.
Yeah, it's something like that. I mean, I'm grasping at straws trying to make this, but
I mean, it's not necessary that you explain this. It's just I have questions. I battered my eyelids in front of the sheet of paper and felt rather confused seeing a drawing repeated several times on the same character. I don't know. I just suddenly flash back to that whole thing, like a joke I saw on Tumblr. Like every time you draw something like you're drawing something in public, and so it just comes up to you while you're drawing it. Did you draw that? It's just like one person, like the perfect response to that, just suddenly look down, start screaming. Where the fuck did this come from?
I mean, that would work. Did you draw that? No. It was the fairy that's sitting on my shoulder. Can you not see her?
No, not even that. Just act completely in character, as if you didn't draw that. Just you draw that. Draw. Holy shit!
That could be pretty funny. I did not have the slightest idea of who he was. The clearest drawing showed a man wearing a black jacket with an extravagant and voluminous fur on his shoulders.
That better be fake fur.
He had a beautiful, happy smile and 2 yellow eyes that was covered a bit by his fringe.
Fucking emo.
He wore dark clothing, and in his hands he was holding a little blue case resembling a music box. Maybe I saw him in an illustration book. Oh, okay, let's have an ice cream, said Daisy, changing the subject of our conversation, seemingly not very interested. I mean, a pretty standard response. If it's a nice enough day, ice cream's always good.
I don't know, it just seemed to come out of nowhere. Oh, okay, let's have ice cream.
Oh, okay, let's have ice cream. And then seemingly not very interested. Answer coming under my skirt. On that same night, I had another nightmare, and this was worse than the previous one I had before. Oh, okay, this is lovely. I dreamt about that dark figure again who brutally tortured me and kept saying the same phrase over and over again. She's mine. I woke up at 2 a.m., breathing rapidly. I curled up, feeling the wall behind my back, put my hands over my face and breathed in deeply. It was just a dream, I whispered. Okay, transitions. Those are a thing.
Yes, granted, that entire exchange was weird. Okay,
Yeah,
let's have ice cream. Ants are coming up under my skirt. I mean, granted, I think part of that might have been your delivery. I could easily see some characters like saying, "Yeah, let's go get some ice cream." Ants are starting to crawl up my fucking skirt.
Well, yeah, they did, but they split it up by like just.
Because it's not stated that they were like uncomfortable or anything like that from the ants. I mean, if you're wearing a skirt, I'm not entirely sure that you're wearing. I'm pretty sure it's a good chance that you're not wearing anything on your leg, especially if you're sitting out in the grass.
Mm-hmm.
So, ants crawling on your bare skin is not typically the most pleasant feeling.
Yeah, no, I can understand that, and even more so, they're fire ants.
Granted,
stinging, biting.
I've willingly let spiders crawl on me,
and that's your problem.
Ants, no. Ants, no, they don't get to.
Yeah.
I don't think I told you about yesterday, but I had a spider actually make its way into my hair.
Ugh.
Well, it's the whole thing of like, it was on my phone. I was like, okay, get off of there. Basically, just kind of moved it onto my hand and started like just walking across my hands and stuff like that. And then it apparently had somehow sent out a line of silk and gotten it onto my hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so literally, with my hand in front of my face, I just see it move laterally through the air onto my hair, and it's like, it just starts crawling up, and it's like, okay, this is a thing.
Well, I guess this is my life now.
That's the whole thing of like, I don't want to kill him. He's not hurting anything.
Yeah, no, if there was like a spider or something crawling on my phone, I'd probably flick it across the floor, depending on where I was. But like,
it's the whole thing of just, it wasn't hurting anything. It's not an ant.
mm-hmm. What, you racist against ants or something?
Okay, you try being stung between the toes by a harvester ant.
No, I'm just asking. Like, I'm not criticizing. Like,
I mean, I've had numerous bad experiences with ants. I've yet to have a bad experience with a spider.
Ants suck. I will agree with that with you.
Like, spiders, so long as you aren't acting aggressive towards them, they won't bite you.
Yeah, it's like snakes. You don't mess with them, they won't mess with you.
Yeah, so like, a spider, if it ends up on you, it likely won't bite unless it ends up getting, like, in a joint, and you start closing that.
Yeah, usually if I feel a spider, like, or something crawling on me, I'll usually, like, brush it off real quick, which usually will sometimes kill it, but sometimes won't. It's just a kind of a reaction, like, and if I can't brush it off, I'll flick my hand real hard and just, like, get it off, like, nope, don't crawl on me, because I don't like the feeling of things crawling on me.
It kind of depends with me. For instance, oh god, did I say to you that, did I tell you about that whole thing during the internship where I ended up having a spider crawl up on my arm and then perch on my shoulder?
I think so, yes.
Because like, I was wearing short sleeves, so it was the whole thing of just feeling that like trip all the arm hairs on the way up. It's just like, that tickles.
Yes.
I believe we're still in your line. No, wait, no, it's mine. It's mine.
Yeah.
No, wait, did you say that it's just a dream thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I said that.
God damn it. Okay. I need to focus. Then I looked over at the bunny next to me, which was looking back at me with its black eye, and with an infuriated glance, I threw it on the floor. Irritated.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the vivid torture dreams, you might want to bring those up with family. See if you might be able to book a trip with a psychologist.
Yeah, that might be something.
Because, like, nightmares is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that sort of thing is another.
Mm-hmm.
Since that moment, I started. Since the moment I started. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Since the moment I started sleeping with the thing, my dreams had turned into meaningless nightmares.
Wow, this is very awkward. Just the way it's phrased.
Proofread.
Read it aloud. Read it aloud to yourself.
Have someone else read it. Out loud. I turned to rest my legs, and in that moment, I touched something with my foot. I elevated my glance. Okay. And noticed a doll sitting on my bed. At first, I was frozen in place. All I could do was stare at her. I didn't understand how she had appeared there. From my experience, it's pretty normal for dolls. My mind started thinking back to my parents who had given her to me as a present. Perhaps I didn't have a real thing for dolls. Perhaps I didn't have a real thing for dolls. And to tell the truth, her presence in my room bothered me. It was a peculiar doll made of wax. Are you sure it wasn't just like a doll-shaped candle?
That would raise other questions too, though, but like...
I'm suddenly imagining like that one cat-shaped candle where it has like a metal skeleton inside.
Mm-hmm.
So like as it melts, like it reveals more of the skeleton.
Huh. that would be
just like a doll-shaped candle that, as it melts, reveals like this metal skull inside of the skull.
that would be one hell of a Halloween decoration.
I'd own that. I hate dolls. I'd own that. Made of wax with unusual characteristics. She had a headdress of flowers flowing through her hair, and only a few locks caressed her cheeks. That's not really that weird. She wore an embroidered white lace dress with black ribbon tied to her waist. Her arms were unusually long.
I'm just imagining I don't know, I don't know, one of those like gibbons or something that just it's a doll of a gibbon that's dressed up like a human doll, just that'd be interesting.
With that, I immediately think of one thing, which is this fucking image.
Oh no, what cancer are you going to send?
She had long tapered fingers that were not normal. Had unusually long arms.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I think about.
Yeah, I mean,
granted, if the doll were posed like that,
it works.
Just, that's a really creepy doll you have there. Just, with this this demented square up stance.
Come at me, bro.
Just that might be a doll I'd own. Just as a talking thing. Put it on the coffee table.
What caught most my attention was a rose in her mouth as supposed to silence her. That was a sentence I read. I looked at her.
Have you been? Wait, have I been cutting out for you or?
No, did I cut out just then?
Yeah, you cut out a lot there for me.
Oh, whoops. Let me read that again.
All right.
What caught most my attention was a rose in the center of her mouth, as if it was supposed to silence her. Like, that was a sentence I just read. Lovely.
Still imagining that pose.
I looked at her closer and scanned her under the moonlight. I touched her face and realized there was something wrong. I kneeled down and tried to get an even closer look at her. Then I heard something, a sort of subdued sound, like a wheeze. It was coming from the doll. I began screaming and let her fall to the floor while standing up in horror, trembling violently, pushing myself to the wall, screaming for my parents. Suddenly, everything turned surreal.
Oh, it wasn't surreal before, eh?
It more surreal this time. The wall next to the door enlarged, like there was a bubble between the paint and the cement. Slowly, some cracks appeared and increased in number. The paint fell in places, landing on the floor and revealing a blue door.
Ooh, are we gonna get Freddy Krueger?
When you get to hell, tell him Freddy sent you.
Oh my god. This is God. Or wait, what is that one scene? It's like, what is it like? What are you? And he just cuts off two of his fingers. Doesn't answer.
Oh
God. Anyway, I hadn't the slightest idea what was happening. These things exist only in books, or in our imagination, or on that Freddy Krueger TV show. Did you not see, it was called, Freddy's Nightmares? And it was awful. Because, if memory serves, it was Robert Englund. But it was basically like an anthology skit show with Freddy.
Huh.
It was so bad.
That sounds
But in my
bad.
astonishment, I felt something about to come out of that. I felt something was going to come out that door. From the door, I could see the same black hands I'd witnessed in my nightmares. "Aren't you happy about Daisy coming to visit you?" said the monster standing on the threshold of the door. "I don't like her either, you know. She screamed a lot." Like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but like, this is the kind of shit that, like,
when
even Armand's not this bad.
Yeah, when I started when we were starting reading and she described her best friend who seems pure and innocent. Either she's going to turn out to be the monster or something terrible is going to happen to her. That was the first thought that came to my mind. So,
well, like, also this kind of like, this is the kind of shit, like, with Armand and Monster of Every Other Week. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I kind of try to avoid. Like, yeah, he's supposed to be a demented serial killer asshole, but Daisy, what does she have to do with it? I looked around confused, looking for the presence of my friend that was obviously not there anymore. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I realized what happened.
Yeah.
It's
she's the doll.
No, not that she's the doll. The reason why that transition was so... no, wait, no, that was later that day. Okay, no, never mind. I was like, oh, maybe that's why the transition was that weird. Everything just kind of... It turns out she was actually still in the dream.
No.
So, like, when that sort of shit happens in a dream, you know, like, it's weird. It just... That's dreams.
Dreams shift all over the place. Like, one minute...
it's like, oh, you're outside. Oh, now you're back in your bed.
Yeah, 1 minute you could be flying, and the next minute you could be sneezing Nyan Cat out of your nose.
But okay, never mind. That's not what it is. I was like, oh, that actually kind of makes it. Never mind.
This story doesn't make sense, Llytic. You should have figured that out by now.
No, it's not that it doesn't make. That's just a bad transition. That should have had a paragraph there. These paragraph spacings aren't very good. Looking for the presence of my friend that obviously was not there anymore. Did she stay the night? What? Why would it be weird that she wasn't there anymore? My eyes landed on the doll. The doll's blonde hair and face made of wax looked strangely familiar. Sure, it's a doll that apparently I got from my parents, but it suddenly turned into my friend. I held my breath. A nightmare. It must have been another nightmare. That didn't need to be a semicolon.
Yeah, this is just an excessive use of semicolons.
I rushed over to the doll and turned her face in my trembling hands. I put my ear over her chest and heard another sound along with that horrible wheeze. The pounding of a heart. Daisy! Daisy! I cried desperately. Had to be a nightmare. Something like this could not have been happening.
I realized my parents were next to my room. According to the sounds I heard, they must have heard me screaming, but the monster blocked the entrance. He pulled the door shut, blocking it in its setting, deforming the wood. My parents started punching on the other side, and I didn't
so it's not a dream.
And I didn't know. Yeah, and I didn't know what to do. It did not look like a dream. It was perfectly clear. It was more real than those nightmares of darkness and torture. My heart was beating so fast that it started to hurt. I felt the sweat on my forehead and the doll trembling in my hands, which I couldn't keep still.
The doll said one thing to me. Your toes. Hand them over. Why was it important that the doll had weirdly long arms?
I don't know.
The monster stood at the end. Oh, sorry.
I just said I don't know. I really don't know. That said.
The doll stood at the entrance, not moving from it. In the half-light, I could see his evil smirk, as if he were waiting for my reaction. I unbuttoned Daisy's dress, which looked imprisoned under the tons of wax, and I started to dig, trying to set her free. I dug and dug and dug, while her moans became more intense, until I felt something wet under my nails. How much wax was it? From the sounds of it, this was a small doll. Like a normal-sized doll. I looked at my hands, covered in blood. Yep, saw that coming. Her skin must have been mixed with the wax, like that one scene in that terrible movie, House of Wax. Hey kids, you ever wanted to see someone accidentally rip Sam Winchester's face off?
What?
I think it's Jared. Yeah, Jared Padalecki, the guy who plays Sam Winchester, was in the remake of the remake of House of Wax. And there's a scene where he gets he's been encased in wax, but for some reason in that movie, the wax somehow mixes with the victim's skin. And so the person trying to remove the wax from just accidentally rips off his cheek. The skin of his cheek. What the fuck?
That's
and you hear him what? As his eyes turn to the side, what? As his eyes are moving.
Was the original House of Wax? Who was it made by?
I don't remember, but it didn't have that shit memory. It wasn't the whole thing of the victim still being alive under the wax memory serves. It's just the wax statues were actually people encased in wax, I think.
Okay.
I'd have to go back and watch it, but I haven't seen it. But it wasn't that. So we just this is my immediate thought. I was okay. The thing that's supposed to be. Oh wait, no. Her skin must have.
You're reading that right.
No. I accidentally skipped. The skin must have been mixed with the wax, and the digging was not helping at all. I'm confused on how you dug that deep. The thing that's supposed to be Daisy was suffering. Yeah, because you dug your fingernails into her skin. The fuck? Her wheezes were blood curdling.
Okay.
But her expression was still that of an impassive doll. I trembled with horror. I had to repress a retch. And suddenly I felt my arm being grabbed.
My splendid Maggie, you've ruined your doll, exclaimed the monster. His whitish eyes sparked with a pale green light. You even throw Mr. Bunny on the floor, but I forgive you. You must return to the place where you belong, by my side. Who the hell are you? I shook like mad, trying to set myself free while my parents were trying to break down the door. The expression of that creature was filled with astonishment. I am Jason the Toymaker, he exclaimed. Oh, look, it's name drop.
Yes.
Yay. Your faithful friend, the only one you could trust. At hearing that name, something moved in my memories, like an electric shock had run through my body. My father succeeded in breaking down the door and turned on the light. When I finally saw him, his face primed a bomb that exploded, setting my memories that were buried deep in the corners of my mind all those years free.
Okay, if your brain explodes bombs, I think you might need to see a therapist.
Mm-hmm. or a doctor. Just
also, wow, this is really doing some really blatant abusive partner vibes. Subtle.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, and
it's not in a way that's done subtle enough to actually. I guess it's a few things. One, there hasn't been proper build-up. It's just, oh, hey, or
things are happening.
Ordinary day, monster.
Yeah, it's like it's trying to be subtle, but it's not succeeding. Maybe
because okay, if you had it to where there was at least some time between the doll appearing on the foot of your bed and this, instead of doll just appears on foot of bed, everything gets weird. Because that's also the whole thing, is there needs to be at least some build-up.
Yeah, no, that's the one of the key aspects of horror is tension. You have to build it in order to have it released later on.
Unless you're making fucking Suspiria, you can't just holy shit, everything's weird. And Suspiria got away with that because it was Suspiria. It was it was an Italian movie. You don't expect those old Italian movies to make a lot of sense. Even the good ones. The original Suspiria is kind of a masterpiece, and the remake of it is also actually pretty good. It basically decided, well, we can't do it in the same way that the original did it, so let's do it in a different direction. So whereas the original Suspiria was more visual horror and less of a story. Had less of a story to it. The like remake kind of reversed it towards more story driven horror. But still very well done. It's also starring Dakota Johnson, who the main other thing she's known for is playing Anastasia Steele in the 50 Shades movies.
Mm-hmm.
But in like the Suspiria movie, she's actually a pretty good actress. Like she's actually in real like a pretty good actress. It's just that she's given absolute garbage in the 50 Shades movies. An actor is only as good as the material given to them.
Yeah, so kind of like how Robert Patterson was given a short end of the stick with Twilight.
Oh yeah,
that thing.
He also hated the material he was.
Mm-hmm.
And like Dakota Johnson, even in 50 Shades, you can kind of tell that she's not taking it seriously, and so she's being sarcastic the entire time.
That's funny.
Whereas the guy playing Christian Grey is just dying inside.
Well.
Whereas like Robert Pattinson was like, basically said "fuck you" in a way that was like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna take this role as seriously as possible. I'm playing him like a stalker." He feels like a stalker. I'm playing him like one.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's see. I remember the day we met for the first time. The toys that seemed to bloom from his hands. I remembered his friendly expression that gradually turned into a sharp and sadistic smirk. It's that whole thing of like, how do we make a thing scary? Well, for one, we have it to where we have a undercurrent of pedophilia,
which makes it more uncomfortable than scary.
And even then, like, you can make that scary, but you have to do it well.
Yeah.
That's the whole issue, is that just this isn't scary, it's just... Because even, like, this could be done well if you did proper tension, payoff, all that sort of shit.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, it's just all this shit at once, this shit is really blatant. Oh, this is... okay, this is just kind of exploitative. We have... stuff that feels kind of like from a pedophilic angle with the way that he's acting, as well as the also feeling of an abusive SO. And so that sort of stuff, you can do that well. You can have it to where that is goddamn terrifying, but you have to do it well. This just kind of feels like I'm doing this for the sake of making you feel uncomfortable.
It feels like something an edgy middle schooler would write.
Yeah, it feels like it's trying to go for shock value.
Mm-hmm. And it's not
in a weird way. That day he showered me with his exasperation. He expected me to give him more attention because in his arrogance he believed he deserved everything from me. God damn it, he's also a nice guy. And then he grew tired of me. He showed me what he really was. He eliminated all the people that surrounded me. He kidnapped my friends, turning them into his toy dolls, and I was bluntly stupid to admire them. Rushing home was useless because the blue door appeared at the center of the living room. He massacred my parents. He took his revenge by taking them away from me. I'm guessing you mean your birth parents.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how far I ran, the smell of blood and of that decomposed flesh still lingered in the air.
It was you. I was possessed by anger and I started hitting him. You killed them. I kept hitting him, but Jason was smiling as if it was tickling him. He didn't have any remorse for ruining my life. He was a possessive beast who concealed himself from my childish eyes behind an angel's face.
You know what else isn't scary? Exposition.
He was able to give me everything and at the same time terminate everyone around me. He was fiendish. Yeah, let's state what he is. That'll make it scarier and more relevant. Of course it was me, my splendid creature. Mr. Bunny even showed it to you. He smiled with self-evident truth. I made many toys for you, and I can't wait to introduce you to Miranda, but you can call her Mandy if you like. Suddenly something hit him in the head, shattering it to pieces.
The most powerful fear is the fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
The more you explain something, the less scary it is.
Which is part of why I think Cloverfield worked. Because, like, it was like you felt like you were a part of the people experiencing what was going on, and you had no idea what was going on, just that something was massive and attacking New York. And I'm giving this as an example because I watched Cloverfield for the first time a few weeks ago, and I actually really enjoyed it. But
it's also the whole thing of like, regardless of how you feel about like the found footage genre, it's also kind of what made Blair Witch work. Only in that sense, it was less the unknown. It was also a sense of the unknown, but in this case, it was more what you didn't see.
Yeah, and like when it comes to stuff like that, it's like, if you do fear of the unknown, that opens up possibilities. You can have weird stuff happen and you don't have to explain it because it just happens.
You just have to have it to where there's like an internal consistency to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole thing here. Like, you don't need this explanation of his personality. You don't need the backstory of he's been following this girl, and she's had prior experience with him. It's honestly just more terrifying, the whole idea of she had no idea like any of this, even under repressed memories. Like, my father had a wooden club, so like a baseball bat.
Probably.
He aimed to blow at the monster's head, but it was the wood that broke. Honestly, I'm just imagining like Jason's head shattering and then just kind of reconstituting that. That would probably help with the otherworldliness of that sort of thing. And again, kind of fear the unknown. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, exactly.
Jason's smile turned into an infuriated scowl, and he increased his grip on my wrist. He had another hand?
I guess so. It's like a third hand just pops out of his chest and just grabs by the wrist.
He turned around, and when my father saw Jason's face, he opened his eyes wide, and my mother covered her mouth to conceal her screams. My father didn't waste time trying again to set me free. The club broke in half with one blow on the Toymaker's face, causing him to let me go. I thought that the thing already broke.
Yes, but it didn't break in half.
We ran out of the room and rushed to the entrance. My father opened the door, but instead of the garden path in front of us, there was Jason's workshop. Maggie, I give you one last chance, Jason said calmly, walking down the stairs. After which I'll dye the walls with the blood of all who surround you.
We run to the kitchen, hearing that monster's laugh follow us, and once we were in, we could still see through the windows, the Toymaker's little factory. Now I was desperately sure it wasn't a nightmare. The terror overwhelmed me, and Daisy's blood on my fingers was more real than anything else I have felt. I turned around. Where's Dad? My mother grabbed a knife and got closer to me, holding me tightly in her arms. She called out to him with a trembling voice. Stephen, and with a sigh with relief, we saw him coming into the kitchen. Hurry up before my mother's voice blocked. Just like me, she stared at Dad's pale face. He was walking slowly with a fixed look at and his eyes wide open. What was it? Suddenly he fell on the floor, and behind him appeared Jason's frozen smile. A Toymaker looked at me with crazed eyes. Dad's battery decreased. It should be recharged.
What is it with these people and accidentally doing comedy?
I don't know.
You weren't there for the fucking Laughing Jack origin story one. But there's a scene in where he makes a balloon animal out of a person's intestines.
Oh, good lord.
And I'm not gonna lie, that's fucking hilarious to me.
It's a little, I mean, yeah, it's gruesome, but that is kind of funny.
Like, it turns into Splatstick at that point.
Yeah.
Like, Jason revealed the giant mechanical key, turning her fucking dad into a wind-up toy.
Oh boy.
Like, yeah, that's horrific and gruesome, but that's also fucking hilarious.
Yeah. It's just the song Wind Up Toy by Al Cooper is just playing in the background.
I'm not scared by this.
I'm not either. This
because
is just,
it is like,
it's dumb. It's just
it's kind of like that point of absurdity of like, okay, this is a comedy. This isn't a horror. This is a comedy. It's like that one scene in Reanimator where we have like a decapitated head about to eat a woman out. At some point, I still need to show you Reanimator and From Beyond because they're both loosely based on Lovecraft works and both directed by the same guy.
Be interesting to check out.
Both just kind of like amazingly what the fuck.
Just
what?
No, I'm just thinking, just as long as it's not like fucking chirpy, I think we'll be okay.
No, it's not that I showed you because I wanted to fuck with you. These are more like cult film, like cult classic film.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They're like gruesome, horrific, funny, full of like unnecessary nudity. They're kind of just great.
Okay.
The actress who plays like the main woman in both of those is a fucking champ. Because it's the whole thing of like with Reanimator, like had the one lady who was supposed to play that role. She was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then like that whole thing came out. Like, nope, I'm leaving. And so like an actress who, if memory serves, was supposed to play a smaller role was like, nah, fuck it, I'm in. I'll fucking do it. Yeah, we'll have a scene where I almost get eaten out by a decapitated head. Fuck it. Like, that actress is a trooper.
That's
like, mad respect.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Revealed a giant mechanical key and drove it into my father's back, already stained with blood. He turned it with force and twisted my father's backbone. I just suddenly thought of that one thing when Game Grumps were playing Dead Rising and they had like the fucking like the zombie on like the tilling machine.
Mm-hmm.
Like the soil tilling machine. Fubda. Man, the structural integrity of that zombie is compromised. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. No, you're trapped in here with me. At the second turn, I shouted, covering my ears to block the sound of breaking bones. Fubda. But I couldn't take my eyes off my father's body contorting itself like a snake. Go away! Be gone! Who would talk like this? Leave my child alone. Be gone.
Just saying like that. I just imagine her out to like. I mean, I don't know. It's like formal almost.
Yeah, it's like, what is this? The fucking Victorian era?
Maybe, I don't know. It's never specified what era it is.
I mean, artwork of Jason the Toymaker makes him look like a total fuckboy, so I guess Begone Thought could be appropriate for him. Going around murdering people. Begone Thought!
That's like the only way that actually drives him back to the so whatever. Once he came, it's like it's like swipe or no swiping type thing.
When I look at him, I think the phrase "that hoe over there."
Yeah, it's like with Jason the Toymaker, you have to say "Begone Thought" 3 times in a row, and then he'll go away, no questions asked.
It's like a reverse Bloody Mary.
Or, like I said,
If you say
Swiper the Fox
begone
from Dora
thought
the
three
Explorer.
times, if you say begone thought 3 times in the mirror, you won't have to deal with Jason the Toymaker murdering your family.
The problem is getting to the mirror.
Well, no. You do it preemptively.
Ah, there we go.
The moment dolls start appearing on your bed.
That's when you go to the mirror and say begone thought 3 times. And with an infuriated scream that echoes, he leaves, never to bother you again.
Leaving a trail of eyeliner. My mother stood tight, held me tight to her chest, and despite the horror and the tears she shed. Declare!
Okay.
Why did you put a comma there?
Just keep
Despite
reading.
the terror and the tears she shed. What, her skin?
Maybe. This next line.
Her face resembled one of those lionesses shielding her cub. Silence, woman.
Okay.
That's how you make your villain intimidating. Comedy misogyny. It's not you who I want to talk to, growled the furious Toymaker, and in the end he pointed his white claw. There ain't no laws if you're drinking White Claws. Come with me, my sweet friend. We will have fun together. We will be back laughing like we did before. No, you're just an insane psychopath. I don't know what kind of monster you are. I don't know what kind of monster you are. I really don't have any idea how you could exist in this world. But one thing is for sure. You must disappear forever from my life.
Begone, thought.
Who talks like this?
These characters, apparently.
At the sound of my refusal, Jason's face clouded over and his eyes sparkled with fury. He started to rave. Holy shit, the dude got ecstasy? Suddenly really happy but dehydrated. To contort himself and jerk his head as if he went over the brink because of me.
I don't understand, he growled quietly. I don't understand, he screamed, grinding his teeth. His face became more terrifying. I was the only one who stayed by your side when your parents preferred working rather than staying with you. I was a loyal friend while the ones surrounding you only looked for you when they needed you. He came closer.
Why did you leave me on red?
I gave you all my attention, gave you loads of toys, and never made you lack for anything. I always aimed for your own. That's why I destroyed everything hurting you.
Friend zoned again.
His screams were so loud they resounded off the walls, while my body shook in horror at every sound. I got rid of all the people that saddened you because I wanted you to be happy and to be my side. I looked for you for so long.
I will stitch you to my body.
I looked for you for so long. You even forgot me? I was a true friend, but you turned your back on me. Suddenly his furious face relaxed, but not his previous insane smile. After doing everything for you, there isn't another explanation. There is really something wrong with you. He instilled it on me with an accusatory look. You really were a very bad little girl, so I have to fix you up. Well, what? I trembled with my voice. Okay, Tom's a little uncomfortable.
I'm going to go onto a MGTOW forum and bitch about you. All women are whores. It's because my jawline's not strong enough, isn't it?
You okay, Llytic?
It's just all this shit he's saying. It's like that stereotypical nice guy shit, and I can't take any of it seriously. Women in Japan would never treat me this way. Like you get what I'm getting at.
No. I get what you're getting at. It's just I don't find it funny as much as it's just like I want this story to be over. This is dumb.
I'm just imagining this fucking guy hunched over his keyboard on like some fucking MGTOW forum bitching about like how all women are whores and how he's totally gonna take the black pill.
The what now?
It's stupid. It's a MGTOW thing.
Okay.
Derivation of their stupid ass red pill, blue pill shit.
Hmm.
Because it's gotta be true if it's a Matrix reference.
Ah, yeah, okay.
You heard me well, you little ungrateful. God. Even when it's not supposed to be a neckbeard story, it's a neckbeard story. I'll fix you up so you'll be good, he sniggered. Oh, the YouTube bots might. Anyway, you'll become a very beautiful toy doll. Just order a fucking real doll and get over yourself. My mother, who was paralyzed by Jason's tirade, suddenly awoke and pointed a knife at him. If you even dare graze Mackie, I swear I will kill you. Jason looked at my mother with a challenging gaze and slowly came closer. The knife was trembling in my mother's hand while the Toymaker gave an expressive guise. She couldn't stand the tension. I pushed her behind me and hurled myself on him.
No, she pushed me behind her and hurled herself.
Whoa, okay, never mind. I completely flipped that. She pushed me behind her and hurled herself on him. My mother stabbed him in the heart. Good aim. And the monster opened his eyes wide, made a contortion of pain, congruating.
Corrugating.
Corrugating?
Yep.
He turned his face into sheet metal?
Yep.
His dark eyebrows and my mother smiled triumphant. Just kidding.
In that moment, a smirk reappeared on Jason's face. He opened his arms without even taking out the knife from his chest. My mother was shocked and stood still for a few seconds, but she was possessed by exasperation and started stabbing him again several times.
Keep using that word.
I don't think it means what you think it means. Trying desperately to make him react somehow. The disgusting sound of the flesh pierced by the knife could be heard clearly while the shirt was ripping, but Jason kept his balance perfect.
Go for the throat.
Go for the eyes. That's enough.
Too.
That's enough now, he commented, bored and straight, after he hit my mother in the face, making her fall violently to the floor. I'll be in trouble if you scratched it. I quickly went to my mother, helping her to her knees. The side of her face was already swollen. My eyes leaped to the Toymaker. I was waiting for his immediate revenge, but was petrified when I glimpsed what he was doing.
Again, not one to I don't know. It's the fact that there was no build-up, so you don't get any sort of atmosphere. Like, before I even, like, again, not to toot my own horn, but before I even fucking introduced Armand, there was that fucking bunker episode.
Oh, yeah. Arlo fucking just went comatose.
I set that shit up. Made sure, like, oh shit, there is something out there that is goddamn terrifying.
Yeah, the bunker episode was very good atmospherically. I enjoyed that one.
And so you need to have some sort of, like, with this sort of thing, being as it's a first-person account, you can't do like what happens in a lot of horror movies and have it to where you have that opening situation that immediately clues you in. So instead, what tends to work best in a first-person account is you need to have some sort of build-up, like some odd occurrences around the house. Like, yeah, sure, there were the noises and shit, but it was never the whole thing of like dolls placed where they shouldn't have been. It was just like, I kind of felt like they were, but it was never that. Like,
yeah, that was one of the things that I feel that 1990 whatever it was called, that the one that did, it was like that one, while it wasn't the best story, it still built tension at least, and it had the potential to be a good story, and it kept me a little bit more engaged than just, oh, things are happening, okay.
Well, even like the quote-unquote true story that Annabelle was based off of. The Raggedy Ann doll was supposedly found in places of the apartment that initially wasn't. It would be like they'd walk in and it would be standing up, despite the fact that a Raggedy Ann doll could be able to do that, like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also had like voices and shit like that, and so they called someone, and it was like some like medium or whatever to talk to it, to see what was up, and it was like, oh yeah, this is the doll of like this is like the ghost of a child or whatever possessing the doll. And it was like, okay, stuff like that. Notes started showing up. The one person who would like hang out in their apartment from time to time that like really fucking hated that doll suddenly apparently woke up with it in his room attacking him. So it's the whole thing. Like, there was buildup.
Mm-hmm.
In a quote-unquote true account, there was buildup.
Yeah.
A possible fucking fib is better written.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're almost done, so...
It's just the whole... Like, if you're going to do a first-person account, you have to have it to where it's not immediate. You just don't do... and now this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you don't have any sort of... He unbuttoned his shirt and drove his nails into his chest, close to the injuries he received from the knife. He sank his claws into the flesh and slowly pulled on the opposite side. The wound appeared as a little rip in the center, which enlarged as the flesh shredded like paper. A thick black liquid dripped to the floor. It was not blood. I wasn't assuming it was.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was, it must have been something rotten. Something sparkled in his exposed ribcage. Probably forgot how much I care for my splintered music box, but luckily everything is alright. He took his hands off his exposed chest and covered the hole with his shirt, hiding the music box that started to play from inside him. You know, you could have had it just playing from the beginning. That could have been kind of interesting. It's just like you just hear the slight musical tone, whatever. He then came closer, and I wanted to scream, to beg, but the horror I had witnessed left me completely paralyzed. Maybe I'm just desensitized. But that kind of situation, like, we've already had all this weird shit happens. He does that. Oh, yep, that makes sense. Not, oh, dear God.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't know. Left me completely paralyzed, unable to do anything, which left me squeezing up with my mother. Took only a yank from the Toymaker to tear her out of my arms. He then took her up without effort and pushed her into his chest. Into the hole you go. To prevent her from wiggling out of him. Into the hole. He clenched his arms around his arm around her neck, while the other arm broke the hand that stabbed him.
Now I'll show you what happens to those that try to hinder me, Mom. He slowly bent her arm in the opposite direction. She cried from pain, trying to get herself free, but that monster was strong enough to bend her limb and make the bone come out. My mother sank her nails into his blackish flesh, which flaked...
blackish.
Yeah, just black.
This actually isn't a wrong placement for a comma.
Yeah, I was just blackish. Which flaked apart, producing a nauseating smell. But she could not set herself free since his grip was wrapped so tightly. All right, I'll come with you. Oh, wait, hold on. All right, I'll come with you, I shouted with all the voice I had in my body. Jason raised his stare and gave me a serious look. My mother was becoming paler due to the pain and blood loss. She needed my help, but there was nothing I could do but hand myself to the Toymaker.
You could take me with you, but leave my mother alone, I said with my trembling voice. We're all friends, right? I tried to smile convincingly despite the fact that I was trembling from head to toe, and my eyes were filled with tears. Jason smirked. He was downright satisfied and pleased with his victory. Oh, you don't put a comma there, though. Excellent choice, Maggie. At that moment, his arms took back their usual color. His lacerations cauterized in a few seconds, and he was back to his usual appearance. His face returned to its normal state, but I already knew what he concealed behind those amber-colored eyes. Green eyes!
It seems Jason accepted my surrender, but before leaving my mother, he took a little red mouse out of his pocket. It was unmistakably a toy, one of those with the winding key. He grabbed my mother by her jaw and pushed it into her mouth. What's wrong, Mom? Did the mouse take your tongue? He laughed amused, pushing her away from his body. I suddenly saw my mother's eyes. They were wide and full of fright. Then there was a light followed by an explosion. She fell on her knees, her jaw, nose, and eyes beat to a bloody pulp. She fell to the ground, a stain of blood spilling from beneath her body. Blood and pieces of flesh landed on me, but I was paralyzed in front of my mother's corpse while Jason couldn't stop laughing. Why did you do that? The Toymaker's overwhelming shadow covered me as he bent down to me, his face spoiled by a rift in his flesh, wrought by the club. Because I'm not your friend anymore, you little shit. Now I'm your creator. He then grasped me by my arm and dragged me towards him. Now, let me fix you up. Now I'm just even more tired.
Oh my god, the second fucking comment on this.
Let's say.
Read it. Just read it yourself.
Oh, hold on. Let me pull it back up. I just exited off. Go back. Okay.
Did you really?
Yeah, I thought we were done, but okay. I'll go read the comment real quick. Should I read it out loud or no?
Yeah, fuck it, sure, if you want to.
Nah, I'm not going to read that out loud.
Oh, you thought? Yeah, oh god, all these fucking characters are just the whole like
people. Have a happy Halloween, everyone.
Yeah.